All right, talk to me. What is the most important thing that we can talk about today?
Lead
Okay.
gen.
What's that?
I said lead gen.
Lead gen. Okay. Liz?
I guess the same thing. I've been calling my sphere today.
Okay, how's that going?
It's going well. It's just conversations and it's turned into some potential long range work. So
Nice. Okay.
but I think I'll keep working on that, but I thought about something the other day, like a script or something for, I don't know. I need to get more comfortable with strangers in lead gen.
Okay. I think we should focus on that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you just one or two housekeeping questions first. Don't forget, the final day of reporting is today. So I know you put in a bunch of stuff. I believe it was yesterday, Liz. Just go back and update it since you've been on the phone all day.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about lead gen with strangers. Let's try it. So, and I assume that's helpful for you too, Angela, right?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay. Perfect. So let's start with this idea, which is I'm going to make some generalizations here, so please don't, I'm not intentionally trying to hurt anyone's feelings, okay? I saw that little smirk. I do appreciate you being on video. Here's the deal, okay? The average real estate agent in Metro Atlanta sells about 3 homes a year, okay? The average home in Metro Atlanta is around 300-ish. Okay, so that is a total of $27,000 in income, to which their broker is going to take a decent chunk of that, plus taxes, plus all the expenses. So let's just throw out some random numbers that say that I think an agent would be lucky on average to bring home, let's say, $15,000 a year. I'm not going to make any judgments about either of you, but I suspect you need more than 15,000 a year. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, so half of the real estate community is making less than that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there's a joke that says when you're born, they hand you a birth certificate and a list of a couple realtors that you're going to know. Okay, meaning everyone knows realtors. Problem is that most of them suck. Okay, because let's be frank, if somebody's only making 15,000, I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. Okay, if somebody's only making $15,000 a year on average, that's most likely not enough to support their family, which means they probably have another income too, which means that's less time away, that's more time away from their family and time that they have to take away from their business, which means they don't have enough time, or that, let me say it slightly differently. They have less time than you guys potentially have being full-time agents to learn the market, study the scripts, practice the presentations, secure the appointments, go on all the appointments, etc. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to combine that with the fact that 70% of buyers and sellers, is actually more like 72, 73% sellers. What? No, I'm not sure. So about 72, 73% of sellers, according to NAR's research, interviewed only one agent, which means that if you're the agent that gets in front of them first, there's 70% of the time, if not slightly more than 70% of the time, you're going to end up with the business. Okay. And then it's another something like 18% that only interviewed 2 or less. Right? So like barely 10% of the public is going to interview more than 3 agents or 3 agents or more. Okay. 70% of the time, all you got to do is have a breath and a real estate license and be the first in the door. Make sense?
Yes.
So now that's kind of who we're competing against. Okay, we're competing against many agents who don't know what they're doing at all and don't have the time or the business acumen or the focus or the discipline to be as sharp as you. And 70% of the time, we're not even competing with anyone. We just have to be the one that asks for the business. Okay, so you should go into these conversations knowing that this person would be lucky to work with you, right? Because I know the three of you well enough to know that I think, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, that you are honest people, that you are hardworking, that you are willing to go out of your way to help somebody, that you're givers, right? That you do the right things, right? And you take your work seriously, right? And with those qualities, you're going to outmatch the vast majority of the real estate community, okay? So when you call somebody, I want you to have in your mind that you're not doing anything wrong. You're not selling them something they don't want to buy. Look, I've tried just about every way. I cannot make a buyer buy a home they don't want to buy. Okay, not gonna happen. Can't make a seller sell a home they don't want to sell. Okay, so all I'm gonna do is get into dialogue with my prospect, determine if there's any chance of me helping them now or sometime in the future, take all the notes and data I possibly can, execute on any of the promises I make, and continue to touch them as frequently as I can so that when they do have a need, I'm the one they call. There is nothing wrong with that, because you know deep down inside that should they decide to work with someone else, there is a good chance they're going to work with a dud. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, now I haven't heard this stat recently, but I'll tell you a stat that I heard probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And I would venture to say it's probably not much different right now, if I was to guess. I was actually talking to the CEO and owner of the company I came from. And he called me back in after I left, and we had a little chat, and he tried to get me back, and I said no, and then he laid off, and we just had a nice little conversation about life and business and all that. And he told me at the time there was about 21,000 real estate agents in Metro Atlanta. There's almost twice that now. Okay. At the time, 10,000 of the 21,000 agents had not sat at a closing table in 1 year or more. Okay. So please understand, you just got to make the contacts. Okay. Be a person of integrity, be polite on the phone, offer your services, come from contribution, ask lots of questions, and you're going to get beat up a little bit, but you're going to grow your database and you're going to be able to help a lot of people. Okay. So the first thing we got to work on is how we think about this experience. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
When you think about it the right way, then you start to have the confidence you need. And we all know that the more confidence you have, the easier those telephone calls will be, right? Because you call an expired and you're genuinely interested in, hey, I see your home's not available anymore. I assume you knew that. Are you planning to hire another agent, right? Do you still need to be, tell me, had your home sold, where were you planning to move? Chicago, great. What's taking your family to Chicago? My kid got into, he's plays soccer in the school that he wants to go at up there. Ah, fantastic. How old is your son? How old is your daughter? You're just making conversation. You're moving it along. So tell me, why don't you think your home sold the first time it was listed? Oh, we kept being told that we needed to do more paint and we just never did it. Whatever it is, right? By the way, I'm not looking at any script. I've just said this stuff so many times, I just know it, right? Mm-hmm. So when will you start to interview agents again, right? When you look to hire a real estate agent this time, what qualities will you need for an agent, right? What did your agent not do that you wish they would have done? That's a powerful question. What did your agent not do that you wish they would have done? That's insinuating that there's stuff they didn't do. and then they're going to tell you exactly how to service them the way they want to be serviced, right? Hey, I wanted to call every week, and my agent wouldn't call me every week. He wanted to call me every second week. Well, Angela, if you want to keep the dude happy, call him every week. Are you willing to call a guy every week?
Sure.
Good. Tell him that. Okay. So you're asking these questions simply because you are a professional in the marketplace, and there is a chance that you can help him. Okay. You might be able to help him when he buys something else. You might be able to help him with a vendor to paint the place. You might be able to help him as a listing agent. You might be able to connect him with an attorney or a CPA or a flooring guy or whatever. Okay. You're simply just trying to come from contribution. Okay. You're not telling him that his pictures sucked. You're not telling him that his realtor sucked. You're just asking questions. Okay. And then you just follow the script, nice and down the script, right? You're not, because you're coming from contribution and because you're coming from curiosity, then it feels natural. It doesn't feel like a sales pitch. Okay. The worst case scenario, okay, is he says, what's your name again? Liz? Liz Kennedy with Keller Williams. I told Keller Williams to take me off their list. I'm going to call your broker, Liz. Say, great. My broker's name is Aubrey Bailey. This is his number. You can call him if you'd like. Have a nice day. Right?
Yeah.
And then you'll call Aubrey and be like, that Liz Kennedy, she was doing her job. You should yell at her. And Aubrey will try his hardest to hold back the laughter while he gets that guy off the phone. And then he'll probably call you and say, great work. Keep it up. Okay? Make sense?
Well, how did you start? And I didn't start writing down until later, but how did you start the conversation again, like when you first got on the phone?
So this is expireds, right?
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Well, we can do whatever you want.
No, expired is great.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull up the expired favorites, and I'll share my screen, and I'll kind of walk you through a few of the
Okay. Great.
stuff. So Lawanda, we're focused kind of today on essentially lead generating for strangers, right? So we're talking a little bit about mindset, scripting, attitude, kind of the way to think about the whole process. You kind of came in the middle of me saying something that sounded nothing like nothing like that, right? All right, hang on one sec. Where is the... One sec. Why isn't this not working? All right. Sorry, guys, just a second. Why is this taking so long to pull up? All right. Let me start this over. One sec. Okay, please know that there is an incredibly high likelihood that you're going to piss some people off. Okay? Don't worry about that. They're just pissed off because their home didn't sell when they wanted it to sell, and now all these realtors are coming out of the woodwork and trying to say the same exact thing to them. Okay? So there are many different ways to approach a for sale by owner. Okay, this one is essentially saying a script that I kind of just said a second ago, which is All right. Hey, thank you for taking my call. This is Bill Linkwald with Keller Williams Realty. I'm certain by now you know your house has shown up as an expired listing in our MLS, and undoubtedly I'm calling to see when you plan to hire the right agent for the job to sell your home. Okay, the dots there are something called, um, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Or let me say it the other way. See what's capitalized? Capitalized, hire the right agent and sell your house, right? That's called embedded commands. Embedded commands, when you say sell your house, it's almost like hypnosis. You're basically giving this signal, this command to the person's unconscious that's saying sell your home, and then they connect sell your home with you. Okay. And in order to really pull it off properly, you want to have the ever so slightest pause right before and after you say it, right? So you might say, I'm calling to see when you plan to hire the right agent for the job of selling your house. Something like that. Did you hear that very tiny pause? So I'm penetrating the depths of your soul, telling you that I'm the agent for you. Got it? Or you might say, hey, this is Bill, thanks for taking my call. This is Bill Linkwald with Keller Williams. Your house has shown up on our MLS as an expired listing, and since I specialize in selling homes that didn't sell the first time, I was considering when we could get together for about 15 minutes so I could show you how I get homes sold, right? And then they're going to respond in a few different ways. They're going to respond by saying one of like 5 things. These are their scripts, by the way. Okay. Somehow they all got copies of the same script. I don't know how it happened, but there's only a few things that they're going to respond by saying. One is, I'm going to stay with the same agent. One is, I'm going to sell it myself, right? One is, I'm taking it off the market, right? One is, where were you when my home was on the market? Okay, those are basically, that's what they say. That's their script, okay? So let's just go through these one by one. Okay, I'm going to stay with the same agent. That's great. And what I'm hearing is you feel obligated to your last agent since they invested a lot of time and money in your house, right? Well, Mr. Jackson, you don't owe me anything and you don't owe them anything, but you do owe yourself the very best. It certainly wouldn't hurt to hear what I do to get homes sold, would it? Right? I understand. Let me ask you a question. If you stay with the same agent, what are they going to do this time that they didn't do last time? I like that one better. I'm not a big fan of this next line. I hope you don't take this the wrong way. I actually heard it from one of my clients. Albert Einstein said that doing the same thing and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. I think that's a bit beyond where I want to go. Okay.
Yeah, that's
But I
not
do like
insulting.
that line about if you stay with the same agent, what are they going to do this time that they didn't do last time? Right? That's implying, presupposing that there was stuff they didn't do last time. Right? I'm going to sell it myself. Gosh, after all you've been through, I understand. Mr. Jackson, you are generally better off to sell your home sell it yourself than to be with an agent who doesn't understand the market. Right? Or I can appreciate that. And what I sense is that you want to make sure you get the best possible agent for the job of selling your house. What are you looking for in an agent? I like that second one better too. Right? I can appreciate that. And what I sense is that you want to get the best possible agent for the job of selling your home. What are you looking for in an agent? Okay, I've taken the home off the market. We've decided to stay. I see. Just out of curiosity, if you did sell, where were you moving to? St. Louis. Wow. Why was that important? My aunt lives up there. We like to spend a lot of time together. Okay. Well, what would that do for you and your family if you had moved? We'd probably have better relationships and the family would stay together and everyone would be happy. If I could show you a way to make that happen, would you be interested? Well, I guess. Okay, you see, I specialize in houses that didn't sell the first time. Even the best houses don't sell the first time sometimes. It just takes a new approach and new ideas to get the home sold. When could I stop by and spend 15 minutes with you? Or when can we hop on a 15-minute Zoom and I can show you why so many homeowners choose me to sell their house. You see that? Choose me, that really should be all capitalized. That's an embedded command too. Many homeowners, pause, choose me, pause, to sell their home or to sell their house. They like to say that when you're talking to a buyer, they have many of the trainings that I've attended say you should be calling it a home, right? It's something they want. When you're talking about selling a house, you talk about the house. House is not quite as emotional. Okay. When somebody's decided to sell their house, what's happening is it stopped being the place where their family has all the wonderful moments and all that. And it just became something they own that they don't want to own anymore. Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Is this helpful?
Yes.
Okay. So some of these you may not like, some of them you might like, but the ones you like, say them 1,000 times so that reaction and that phrasing stays with you, right? Mr. Jackson, if a contract were presented to you tomorrow, would you still sell? And they would probably say, well, yeah. Well, great. So there is some desire to move, right? You know, Mr. Jackson, I specialize in houses that are great, yet didn't sell for the first time for a variety of reasons. Let me ask you, why don't you think your home sold? What will you look for in the next agent you choose? That also implies that they're going to hire another agent, and that also implies that it ain't going to be the one they just let go. I love that question. Why don't you think your home sold? And what will you look for in the next agent you choose? Let's do this. I'll drop by and look at your home. That way you can meet me. I never thought I would say this, but I've said it before. So at a weak moment, you don't end up hiring a weak agent. After all, you don't want to put it back on the market later to have it sit for another 6 months, do you? Right? That's what I was kind of insinuating at the beginning of the call. When I say sometimes at a weak moment, they hire the first agent that stops it, that crosses their path. And just by the law of averages, that agent's going to be weak. Okay. If they say weak agent, what do you mean? Say, hey, listen, would it surprise you to know that the average real estate agent in our city sells 3 homes a year? And by the time that they pay everyone that needs to be paid, they're making $10,000 to $15,000 a year. So as I see it, they probably need some kind of secondary income, which leads me to believe that they don't have as much time to help you sell. Is that concerning to you? See what I'm saying? Does any of this sound salesy to you or not really?
Not really. I mean, it sounds kind of natural the way you're doing it. It doesn't sound salesy.
Right.
I guess when I read them, it sounds salesy to me.
Okay.
And,
So,
I get caught up on it sounds salesy and also kind of manipulative. But when you do it, it's like, oh, okay. I guess it's all in your like the pauses and the tones and stuff. That makes a difference, and it just doesn't sound so scripted.
okay. So knowing what you just said, what can you do to make yourself more of a natural as you're saying things like this?
Just practice more, and the more I practice, and like for me, I know that if it's not just about knowing it word for word or anything, it's like you have to really believe, like know what you're saying, and be able to back it up, and understand what you're really saying to the person, and know that you really can do this and offer it to the person, and just like you said, know that you're coming from a place of contribution. You're not a salesperson, that you really do want to help them.
Okay, can I pick it with one thing you just said?
Yeah.
Okay. We are salespeople. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, we're not salespeople, we're consultants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. We're salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're not selling, just because you're a salesperson doesn't mean you're inauthentic or you're doing the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to help them hit a goal, right? Buy a home, sell a home, invest in a home, find a plumber, whatever it is, right? So because you are good at helping facilitate a project like that, a task like that, a goal like that, then you're going to move them through the sales process. Nothing wrong with selling, okay? Particularly like if you're courting a buyer, the buyer's the one that raised their hand and says, help me, right? Sometimes you're going to have to create a little urgency. Sometimes you're going to have to say no. Sometimes you're going to have to lead the buyer to the next phase of the process, right? You're not selling them anything. Like if somebody buys a junker of a home, how is that going to serve me? The guy's going to get there and the next day it's going to be a junker and he's going to call me mad that he bought a junker. How is that going to help me? I don't want that stress. If the home's a dump, don't buy it. Right? Unless you know exactly what you're doing. So rather than reading it, my suggestion would be say it out loud as much as you possibly can.
All right.
Right? And you might print this off and just highlight some of your most, the phrases that you like the most, right? If just out of curiosity, if it did sell, where were you moving? Why was that important? What would that do for you and your family? If I could show you a way to make that happen, would you be interested? Right? Why don't you think your home sold? What will you look for in the next agent that you choose? Right? I've already found an agent. Okay, have you signed a contract already? Yes. Great. Wish them well, be done. Don't want to cross the sign, don't want to break the rules, don't want to be unethical. Okay, move on. If they say no, say, great, I'd like to apply for the job to sell your home. Right? And they might say, well, we feel, really, bound to this guy. Say, well, I'm just offering another opinion. Would you like to meet? Right? If they say no, then it's no. The funniest part about it is they could just yell and scream at you on the telephone. Okay, picture this. You call an expired, they yell and scream at you on the phone. Then you both get off the phone. Then interestingly enough, you both go to Smoothie King right at that moment. And you and him show up at the exact same time. Okay. And he opens the door for you and lets you in. Hey, how's it going? You having a good day? And as the person's making the smoothies, you guys are back and forth chit-chatting, having no clue that he just yelled at you. You don't know him and he doesn't know you. Like, seriously. You're never going to talk to the guy again under those circumstances. Why are you so worried about it? Does that resonate at all?
Yeah, I don't care.
That's right. You know why, Liz? Is because you want to give your time and your attention to people who deserve it.
Yeah.
And if that guy's going to be such a grouch on the phone, gosh, he's going to probably be a grouch working with you too. Thank you so much for letting me know that you're going to be a grouch.
Yeah.
I wish you the best. Right? Okay. You can just kind of go through these scripts a little bit and see, the other things that they might say and practice, right? So here's another one. It's helpful, right? Hey, this is Bill Linkwald with Keller Williams. I'm looking for Steve. Hey, Steve, I'm sure you figured out right by now that your home came on the computer up as an active or expired listing. I was calling to see when you plan on hiring the right agent for the job of selling your home or interviewing the right agent. If your home had sold, where were you going to be moving to? How soon did you need to be there? What do you think stopped your home from selling? How did you happen to pick the last agent you listed with? What did that agent do that you liked the best? What did that agent, what do you feel that agent should have done? Right? What do you expect from the next agent that you'll choose? Have you already chosen an agent? I'd like to apply for the job to sell it. Right?
Hold on.
We want to go into this believing that they still have a goal to sell their home. Okay, this one is one that's like, I love this one. Hey, this is like, I'm not going to sound like all the other people. I'm just going to cut straight to the point. Okay, Hello, this is Mark Seiden with Mark Seiden Real Estate Team at Keller Williams. You and I both know your home just came off the market with your current realtor. And I'm sure you're getting calls from realtors who are asking to be your next realtor, and I have no interest in being your next realtor. Call me when you want to stop just being on the market, but are actually ready to sell and move. After meeting with me, I won't be your next realtor, I'll be your last realtor. And you won't be living where you are living much longer. My number is 678-361-6083.
I like that one for a message.
That's going to sound different than what everyone else
Yeah.
is saying, right?
I like that one.
Just straight to the point. Hey, we
Yeah.
both know you're getting clobbered with calls, and all these idiots are saying the exact same thing. I'm ready to help you sell. Let's get serious. Right? All right. What do you hear when you hear all this?
I can do it.
I believe
But
you.
I do have a question. I signed
Okay.
up to be notified when the next round was, but I can't remember the name of it, but there's a training that Keller Williams does
Bold
where
pivot.
instead of, no, maybe, I don't know, but you can no, because you're basically trained and to tell them that you can do we have an iBuyer, like Keller
Oh,
Williams
yeah.
iBuyer
You go to,
program.
KellerOffers.com.
Yeah, so I've signed up to be notified when the next training is, but I haven't heard a thing. And so I didn't know, because I'd really like to be able to call them up and say, hey, I have an offer for you. Can we talk?
Yeah, that's a strategy a lot of agents are using. If you go to KellerOffers.com, there's probably some more information about it. Or you can, you might be able to post something in like the Georgia Legacy group and see, because they should be running that class over online.
Yeah.
iBuyers in Metro Atlanta have kind of slowed down a little bit just because of coronavirus. So what I'm finding is that you're not seeing that objection so much anymore, right?
Right.
And we had an exclusive relationship with a company called OfferPad, and OfferPad just went into the brokerage business. So we dropped that relationship. We still work with them, but we don't work with them exclusively. So they were basically financing all those purchases. But a lot of that has slowed down because of the virus. Personally, I called expireds a few times when I was in Bold, but I didn't make a habit out of it. I did do a decent amount of circle prospecting, right? Circle prospecting is, hey, I wanted to invite you to this. I'm going to stand up for a second. To this open house. It's from 1 to 4 on Tuesday or on Sunday. We're going to be hosting just the neighbors from 12 to 1. Wanted to see if you might like to attend. No, I'm busy that day. Oh, that's great. So, a lot of times when a home goes under contract and ultimately sells, it could impact the value of your property. Would it be okay if I reached out to you directly and let you know what this home sells for when it sells? Right. Or, who's the local agent that you reach out to when you have a question? Not, do you have an agent? So when they're going to say yes and the conversation is going to be over, you say, who is the local agent that you reach out to when you have a question? Then they're going to either say, I don't have one, or they're going to stumble on somebody, and that's going to be proof that they don't have a relationship, right? To which you would say, well, I'd like to be that person for you, right? Let me make sure that I have your contact information, and I'll reach out to you periodically and check in to see if there's anything I can do to help you. In the meantime, if you ever need a recommendation for any type of home-related vendor, I'd like you to call me. If I can answer any questions about market conditions, new listings, prices of homes, new loan programs, whatever, refinancing, whatever it may be, I want you to feel comfortable calling me. No, absolutely no fee, no obligation, no commitment, anything.
Okay.
Right? Would that be helpful? Just like you have a doctor when something hurts, you know who to call. When you have real estate, oftentimes is the largest asset people have. And I've always found that it's really helpful to have somebody that I can call quickly and just ask a quick question to. You got an insurance agent? Great. When you have an insurance question, you call your insurance agent, right? Okay. I want to be your real estate agent. What would you like me to do to help you today? Right? Okay, great. So I can email that to you. I'll just need your email address. Make sense? Then they go into your database and you drip on them over time. All you're asking for is the ability to serve them. That's it. We're in the service business. That's all we do. How can I serve you today? Is there anything I can do to make your life easier today? Right? It's going to be a refreshing difference because they're not used to hearing salespeople speak like that. We're salespeople because we have goals and we have metrics and we do the same thing every day and we say the same thing over and over again. But there's nothing wrong with being a salesperson. A salesperson does not equate to unethical, money grubbing, person is not interested in my best interest in these kind of things. Okay.
Okay. So another question I have for you on these lines is, where can I go? Like, what services? Like, I was listening to I forget her first name, but Curtin. She was giving her list. Joanne. She was giving her listing presentation, and she was saying, and now I show them all the things that I do, you know, for the seller, what I do to market your home and what I'm going to do, and the list is huge, and they're impressed. So I'm wondering. I don't think she actually showed that list, but like, I'm wondering, what should we be doing for the sellers? What does our list look like? How do we get the listing as part of it by showing them everything that we do? What are these things that we do besides the obvious stuff?
Good question. So what I would encourage you to do is, this is probably not what you're expecting me to say, but I would Google it. And I would look to see, has anyone created a list like that? And do I want to add anything to it? Right? Do I want to take anything away? For complimentary staging, do you?
Yes.
Right? Okay, good. But maybe not everyone does. I offer professional aerial photography. Do you do that? If you don't, edit it, right? Yep. So
yep.
You could go into groups like Lab Coat Agents. Lab Coat Agents is a Facebook group with like 90-something thousand agents on it from all over the place. And there are file sections in those groups where you can see information like that. I would be willing to bet if you emailed Joanne or pegged her online or something, or if you asked the community at large, somebody would have a list like that. I have a seller checklist, which probably has a bunch of that stuff in the Google Drive. But for the most part, it's a question of a couple of large themes. The first theme is pricing, right? How do I make sure that the price is accurate? So, Liz, what do you do to make sure the price is accurate? So that's a list of things you do. The next thing I would consider, kind of the header, if you will, is condition / staging, right? / photos, right? So we have a professional stager come in, we have a professional photographer come in, we fluff the pillows, we have the landscaper come by right before the pictures are taken, and all these kind of things to make sure the home is in the best condition possible, right? So maybe we put these little cards around the home that say, what do you call it? Like quiet close cabinet doors, and don't forget to, extra storage space in this closet, and these kind of things. Like, is there anything unique that you do to remind the buyer of some type of special feature cards or something as they're walking through the home, right? Do you do anything to provide feedback in particular to the seller? Do you do any form of open houses? Do you do any form of Facebook marketing? Mm-hmm. Do you do any form of geo-targeting?
What's that?
Geo-targeting would be, for example, let's say, I believe you can still do this. I've never personally done it, but let's say you have a listing right by the office. Mm-hmm. Okay. I believe you can still go into Facebook and create an ad and it will appear in the news feeds of people who live nearby, right? So you can go in and they've changed exactly how they do it recently because of all the like possible discrimination that came about from it.
Right.
Like, like, well, I don't want to show this to women, or I don't want to show this to people that are over this age or under this age or that are white or black or something like that. So they've edited the criteria, like the way
They have, it's a special housing thing that we have to do now, and the minimum range that you can target is 15 miles from the target. So yeah.
So do you do that?
Yes, I do
Okay,
that.
so here's the thing. If I do that, but I don't tell you I do that,
Yeah.
it's as if I didn't do it.
I just don't want to miss anything that I should be doing.
So
But,
I would take the advice we just went through, which is the pricing, the house prep, and the other big one is marketing.
Yeah.
Right. You could also say, every time I list a property, I call the 1,500 closest neighbors and invite them to the open house. Right. I spend 3 hours a day looking for buyers for my sellers and sellers for my buyers, which just so happens to be my lead gen time.
Yeah.
Right. Is that a true statement?
Yes.
I agree.
Yep.
Okay. I have a database of X number of 100 people I send updates to each week in a newsletter, or every 2 weeks in a newsletter. And I make contact with at least 25 people every single day to ask them how they're doing and to see if they have any real estate goals. And if I found somebody who was interested in purchasing a home, it wouldn't be the first time, right? So you're basically, and you say, I spend, an average of 3 hours a week looking at property in the marketplace, right? So that I know exactly how to best position your home in light of what's going on in the current marketplace. So by the way, we're going to set the price. However, that might not be the last time you hear from me, right? Because if we set a price of, let's say, $375, and then while we're staging your home, here comes a listing at $365 that's larger and has more upgrades, then $375 is not going to sell the home anymore. It might actually help the other guy sell their home. And so therefore, we're going to be price watching also, right? And I'm going to be updating you on, how many showings are happening and what kind of feedback we're getting and any new listings that we should be made aware of so that you can constantly be best positioned to sell, right? So you're essentially walking them through all the things that you do. Because I will tell you, there were many times, particularly, 8, 9 years ago when the market wasn't that great. And Lawanda, you probably remember this. We might take a listing, take the photos, list the home. I was always pretty good at pricing it, so the home went under contract pretty quickly. And then, sometimes I had a tendency of just like, something had to be dealt with. I just dealt with it and moved on. Dealt with it and moved on. Problem solved, problem solved, problem solved, problem solved. Sometimes I forgot to tell the seller what I was doing, right? And so the closing would happen, and there wasn't any problems because I squashed them all before they got a chance to become problems. And then I'm the one that walks away with the biggest check at closing. And they're like, damn, he got paid a lot of money for what he did. You see what I'm saying?
And it seemed like not a lot. Yeah.
Well, it seems like not a lot of work unless you tell the party what you're actually
doing. Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so you might say, I optimize your listing on Zillow and Realtor.com and Homes.com and blah, blah, blah. And you call them up and you say, hey, just wanted to let you know I started the first Facebook ad. We've already had 480, impressions or whatever.
Right.
Call them up 2 days later, said, hey, we got our first lead. I'm waiting to see if they want to schedule a showing. I just want to let you know I'm thinking about you and I'm working on selling your home.
Got it.
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
If you don't remind them what you're up to, they think you're up to playing tennis.
Right.
Then you get that check and they're like, damn, all she does is play tennis all day and she gets a $10,000 check.
Right.
I'm dead serious. I've had multiple clients call me on the way home from closing saying, how do I get to be a realtor? It looks like you make a lot of money.
Okay.
I'm serious. And you know, that was my fault. That was my fault because I didn't tell them what I was up to. If they knew what I was up to and they knew the stress that I was under to sell that home, they would have been like, oh my gosh, you're so underpaid, it's insane. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I let that happen. Okay, what are we hearing? What do we think?
I've got some.
Luanda, how we doing?
Doing okay.
Okay. I'm not crazy talking, am I?
No, sir. You're truth talking.
Truth talking. All right.
Yeah, I like the fact that when you said something about the about, you know, we take pictures, get the house listed, that kind of, and kind of forget to tell the sellers what we're doing and the motions that we're making. I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
And they have no idea until I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to earn the right for them to say, all right, Bill, I get it. You're thinking about me all the time. You can just call me once a week. That's fine. I'm like, okay, great. See what I'm saying? We have to ask our clients how they want to be treated. Right? I had a client one time, he got frustrated with me because he'd ask me a question and my general tendency was to give him a long-winded answer. He says, Bill, stop. And do you guys mind if I say a cuss word? He
Yeah.
said, Bill, stop it. When I ask you what time it is, just tell me what freaking time it is. Don't tell me how to build a watch. You understand? Right? That was how he needed to receive the information, and I was botching it. And I'm glad he told me. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the biggest takeaway here is you've got to get comfortable saying these things. You've got to say them over and over and over and over. Okay, it all goes back to what is the man or woman's motivation? Why do they raise their hand and say, I think I'm curious about buying? Or why did they raise their hand and say, hey, I'd like to hear some more stuff about selling, right? You have to clearly understand why they're making the decision. Then you have to find out why that actually matters to them, right? I think I want to move to Hilton Head. Well, awesome. I love Hilton Head. Why would you, you know, what's special about Hilton Head for you? Do you have family there? Is work taking you there? Anything in particular? Yeah, I just love fishing. And I just love that, you know, that the northern end of the island or something, right? And then you can embellish that a little bit and make it, you know, kind of get him in that mindset of, if you let me help you with this task, you'll get there faster with more money in your pocket, right? And then when it starts to get a little tense down the road and he's a couple $1,000s off on negotiations, or the buyer wants an outlet fixed or something and the seller's, you know, trying to fight it, say, listen, are we going to get to Hilton Head or are we not going to get to Hilton Head? You going to let this electrical outlet prevent you from fishing? Seriously? And then you just stop talking and you let it be awkward. And then you just let it be more awkward. And you say, damn, Bill, you're right. Sign the paperwork. You know what I'm saying? So you got to know what to say, then you got to say it, and then you got to let the silence do the heavy lifting. And when they talk about how something is awesome, embellish it a little bit. When they talk about something is not awesome, embellish it a little bit, right? You want to raise their emotional level a little bit. Whether they're really excited about moving, good, feed into that. If they're really pissed off at their agent because they didn't get the house sold, good, feed into that a little bit. And then you stop and you say, hey, it doesn't have to be that way. Let's get together, right? Hey, sounds like we should meet. It's a great script. Everyone say it after me. Great, sounds like we should meet, right? Hey, I want to move to Florida. Great, sounds like we should meet. Hey, I want to move to New Jersey. Great, sounds like we should meet. I want to buy an investment property. Great, sounds like we should meet. Hey, my sister wants to buy an investment property. Great. Sounds like we all should meet. Right?
Got it.
Nothing wrong with sales, guys. Sales just teaches us the way to communicate with people in a way to help them get what they want. Luanda, can I put you on the spot for a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Luanda and I courted each other for maybe, I don't know, 6-9 months or something.
We did.
Right? Now, I'm asking for this, and it's being recorded.
Okay.
Unless you say the wrong thing, it's going to be on YouTube forever.
I promise I won't say the wrong thing.
Now, I want you to be honest with me.
Uh-huh.
Did I ever sound sleazy to you?
No. Nope, not at all.
Okay. And did I just seem like I was always coming from contribution and trying to teach you something or ask you some good questions or share some tips with you?
You did.
And when you ultimately made the decision to come to Keller Williams, why did you do that?
Your consistency and the value that you were wanting to pour into me, and not even being a Keller Williams agent, which I had been one years before, but I don't think you had any idea that I used to work with Keller Williams before, and just the consistency of what you wanted to pour into me and to grow my business.
Right. So you kind of expressed some areas of improvement that you had a desire to improve. I helped show you that there was a different way to do it.
Yes.
Right. And that being a partner with a different organization could benefit you. And did I use some scripts?
I don't think,
Probably.
I mean, you probably did, but it didn't sound like a script because it just sounded natural.
Exactly.
You know, I felt it coming from a genuine place of concern and wanting to, you know, help me grow my business and pour into me.
And were there moments that we were talking that you felt like there was a little bit of pressure put on you, or that I was kind of steering you towards a certain decision at a certain time, or like to create some more urgency?
I don't know if you were steering me in a particular direction or whatever. I think you gave me things to think about, business wise, and based upon our conversation, what I was looking for and what I needed. I think you were more so focused on those things, and you listened to the things that I needed.
Right. And when it became painfully obvious to both of us, I sunk my claws in, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. He went for the gusto. Yeah. Yeah.
And at that moment, that also felt natural.
It did. It really did.
Because it was painfully obvious that it was time to make a decision.
Yeah. It's either now or never.
Well, it's not now or never, because I just
No, it was at that time. He was like, okay, you know, let's, you know, think about everything that we were doing. Just, you know, are you going to make that decision that's best for you and your family?
Yeah. So that's the way it's supposed to be, guys. It's you're doing a needs analysis with your prospect, right? Hey, something is not exactly as it should be. I own this home. I don't want to own it anymore. I'm a renting. I need to be a buyer, right? Hey, you know, whatever the issue is. Well, guess what? I'm right in front of you, and I know how to help. So allow me to help. Luanda, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry about that.
Were you saying something?
I did, and then I go ahead. I'll finish it.
Okay. So your goal is to identify where the gap is, right? Where do they need help the most? And then show them that you can fill the gap, right? And then you got to kind of what they call future pace, which is help the person understand what life will be like once you've done your job, right? Can you see yourself making X number of dollars using the systems and tools and technologies of Keller Williams? Yes. Great. Lucille sent you the blue folder. You ready? Right? It's like once they know in their mind that it's the right time to do business, then a close is just a natural end to that. Right? Hey, let's get started. Sounds like we should get started. And they're like, you're right. It does sound like we should get started. And then you're like, yes, Lucy, send paperwork. The one that's ready. Right? And we're just having fun because, you know, I'm hopeful that there'll be a day where Luanda says, well, God, I'm so grateful for that dude, Bill. You know? And all of y'all. Right? And I get more satisfaction, to be quite frank with you, about that than I do helping a buyer buy. That's why I'm in the role I'm in. Okay, enough about me. What else can I help you with?
I got one more question. I want your best line, because I had to do this today, on how to tell people that basically rent is throwing money away. You need to pay into an investment, which is your home.
Okay, good. So I want to, you don't know their situation, so that actually may not be perfectly true.
Well, right.
So we need to investigate their situation first. Because the truth of the matter is let's say they buy a $300,000 house. Okay. At the end of the first year, they will have paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000 or $6,000 down on their mortgage.
Yep.
Not a giant chunk, right? So if it's not necessarily the right time for them to buy this year, but it would be a better time for them to buy next year just from timing stuff, it's not worth the $5,000. So the first thing is to discuss with them, what are their goals, right? Do you fully understand the renting process, and do you fully understand the buying process? And I would say that to them, look, what I find is sometimes somebody says they're ready to buy, and it may not be the best decision for them. Sometimes somebody says, I want to rent, and turns out they would actually be better suited to buy. Would you mind if I explain a few things to you? Right? And then you might say, look, you need to live somewhere. So if you feel comfortable affording $1,700 a month, let me introduce you to a lender, and we can back out of that and determine how much money would you be able to buy a home for with that same budget. And then I'll show you what those homes look like, and you can determine what if you have any further interest in talking about that, right? You'll see, if you do the research, that the average renter has a net worth of about $5,200. The average homeowner has a net worth of about $243,000. So we know long-term purchasing is a better option for just about everybody. However, I totally understand that it might not be the right reason for you or the right time for you today. However, let's make a decision based on real evidence. Okay, so today you can afford to rent a home that looks like this. Today you can afford to buy a home that looks like this. What makes the most sense for you right now? Okay, because sometimes if somebody wants to do something and you talk them out of it, or basically you provide enough information that they talk themselves out of it, the trust factor just exploded. Like they love you now, right? That's why when I would show homes, I wouldn't really point out the good stuff. I was pointing out the bad stuff. They didn't need me to show them where the kitchen was. Right?
Yeah.
They needed me to say, hey, that's synthetic stucco. Or, hey, this home is on a floodplain. Or, hey, did you notice all this wood rot here? Or, hey, did you see this as bad siding? You're gonna have to replace this at some point. And they're like, oh my gosh, this guy Bill's not trying to, sell me the first home he walks me into. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we all know that kind of behind closed doors, yeah, we want to push people to buy because that's overall the best option for them. However, it's not always the right move all the time. Like I owned a place for about 5 years, and when I moved out of that, I actually rented with my wife for about 4 years because I didn't want to buy what I could afford at that time. So once I saved up a little bit of money and I started making more money, I was able to buy a home that was more expensive than I was planning on buying because I had gotten to that level and I had saved some cash, right? And when we moved over to Toco Hills, I was thinking about renting again because I wanted to learn the area. I know buying a home is the right thing to do. I wasn't going to rent forever, but I also don't want to buy the wrong home, right? So I was just kind of taking stock of what all my choices were. You see what I'm saying? Okay, you guys, I'm really grateful for you being a part of the mastermind today. Don't forget, today is the final day for reporting your numbers. Luanda, it looked like there was a couple that you put in and a couple you didn't put in. So if you could go back and take a peek at that, that'd be awesome. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have even more confidence than you had at 4 o'clock today. And let's go make some more contacts, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.